All right. Little late getting the stream up, but we got it up and running. Welcome everyone to the Saturday Dota League. We're still in the playoffs. If you joined us with our series a little bit earlier, between started from the bottom and the business game, and you saw, well, maybe a little bit of a one-sided affair, but we did see started from the bottom advance to the second round, or I guess the winners bracket finals. And now we're going to have another winners bracket match, another best of three. It's going to be between Boreal Esports and UTD Savants. We have certainly seen plenty of Boreal Esports on the stream before. Of course, we saw them play one, maybe even two series in the Saturday Dota League on this channel, but we also got to see a whole bunch of them during the Canada Cup. And they did pretty well in that. They didn't do so hot in terms of getting into the international qualifiers, as unfortunately they fell a little short on that one. But they are definitely our favorites going in, or the favorites, I should say. We're trying to not be too biased here. But they're definitely the favorites going into the Saturday Dota League. And they started off a little weak. They started off with 2 losses in week 1 against No Brood Mama. But then they definitely finished strong, 2-0ing their next 2 opponents. Ending the season on 2-0ing the Business Gaming, which we saw in our last series. Unfortunately, the Business Gaming lost that series, but yeah. So Boreal Esports ended up finishing out the season at a record of 4-2, finishing first in the red division. As for UTD Savants, we only got to cast 1 series from them, and it was the first series to start it all off, and that was up against started from the bottom, which we of course saw in our last series as well. UTD Savants finished second in the blue division. 4-2 also was their record. So we should get a good idea of how these 2 divisions square off against each other as well. First from the blue division, kind of ran all over second from the red division in our previous series, and maybe Boreal Esports will try to get one back for the red division. It doesn't really matter, but it's nice to kind of create those little competitions inside of a bigger competition. But we've gotten far along in this draft so far, and let's try to catch up here, as we've got Wisp and Undying banned out by Boreal Esports. It's pretty standard for them to kind of go with those kind of bans. Dazzle and Leshrak were also their bans, and then they picked up Shadow Fiend, one of their heroes they love to play. Same with Earthshaker. And Witch Doctor. Frankly, all 3 of these heroes are heroes that they love to play. They play fairly often, and we're probably going to see a few players on their team stand out on those heroes. As for UTD Savants, we've got Queen of Pain and Gyrocopter banned out as their first 2. Then Brood Mother and Tusk. Boreal Esports, a team that plays Tusk quite a bit. Jeppins is a monster on that Tusk. And it's always fun to see a team run Tusk, but unfortunately we won't see it this time around. UTD Savants ended up picking up Chen, Dragon Knight, Clockwork, and now Vengeful Spirit. And then Boreal picks up the Lina. I couldn't even get into talking a little bit about Boreal Esports and what to expect from them before. Well, they pretty much picked it all. So we've got Shadow Fiend. Like I said, they loved playing Shadow Fiend, Clockwork, Tusk. Those are all kind of heroes they love playing. We're not going to see them play either Clock or Tusk this game, but we see them pick up Earthshaker, Witch Doctor, and Lina, which certainly makes things a little bit interesting. Is that an offlane Earthshaker? Is it maybe just a tri-lane with all 3 of those heroes? They've run the Lina in the mid lane before. They could slide the Shadow Fiend to the safe lane and put him in kind of that tri-lane and still look for Jeppin's hero in the off lane. Now we'll have to wait and see how Boreal's gonna choose to approach this, but the Bounty Hunter was banned out by UTD Savant, so that won't be available to them. Boreal banned out the Drow Ranger, so UTD Savants won't have that. As for UTD Savants, we've got the Clockwork most likely in the off lane, Dragon Knight in the mid lane, Chen and Vengeful Spirit going to be the 2 supports, and then we await the final pick for them, as they just got their reserve time to go here. What are their options with a safe lane carry here? They've got some pretty big tank ability with the Dragon Knight and to some extent the Clockwork, so they don't really need something that has to be really strong frontline, although it's certainly not bad. But they should be able to kind of have something that can sit in the back and do a little bit more damage. You do have to be a little bit more wary of the amount of damage that Alina can put out with Laguna, and also Blink Earthshaker being able to position himself quite well. As for dealing with things like a Witch Doctor, you've got the Clockwork to do that, so that's no big deal. They're going to go with Razor, so another pretty tanky hero, but it's kind of a theme of their team so far. They want to be in your face in the team fight, and if you get into a situation where, you know, maybe it's not looking so great, that's where the Vengeful Spirit can come and swap one of your heroes out. And then of course you've got the Chen, Hand of God, as well to heal everyone back up after one of those big ultimates like the Earthshaker, Echo Slam, or even Shadow Fiend, you know, letting rip a huge Requiem. The Hand of God expected to come out in response to one of those. But one of the keys is definitely going to be interrupting that Witch Doctor Death Ward. Besides that, well, we saw Dragon Knight in our previous series, and Dragon Knight against Shadow Fiend, and that was a very one-sided lane. And I thought it shouldn't have been so one-sided. So it'll be interesting here to see how the Dragon Knight squares up against the Shadow Fiend in this matchup. I imagine it will be a little bit closer, but I guess that will remain to be seen. We're still waiting on Boreal to pick their last hero here. They've got a lot of extra time, so they're using it. And it is going to be an offlaner, so it's going to be the Darkseer that they're going to pick up. And this is interesting because now they've created a situation where they should feel comfortable putting the Darkseer up against the Clockwork, although in our previous series we also didn't see that go kind of as planned. But they have that option of putting the Darkseer up against the Clockwork, then going aggro with those other three heroes, the Earthshaker, the Witch Doctor, and Alina, which would be very, very strong as a tri-lane. But you are going to be going up against a Razor, so you got to keep that in mind. But it is just a Razor and a Vengeful Spirit. The Chen is primarily going to be in the jungle, so it's kind of a 3 versus 2 lane, and you should be able to get an advantage there. But we'll look and see how they choose to do this. Most likely KVH will be taking the Shadow Fiend in the mid lane. And well, we're going to hop on into this, so let's introduce the teams and the players. As well, it wouldn't be competitive Dota without a pause right off the start. But it's only going to be 10 seconds, so start your stopwatches and see if they're staying true to their word. But let's introduce our Radiant side, which is going to be the UTD Savants. And it's going to be Exiled playing the Chen. He's going to be their captain. Sneaks is going to be playing the Razor. A few people in chat cheering for, or maybe even hating on Sneaks. It's a little bit hard to tell between the two of you. We've got Bacon is Beast, a friend of mine and a player I've played against quite a bit, and I've played with a few times as well. But he's going to be playing the Dragon Knight with a little bit of a nifty set there. Gods is going to be playing the Vengeful Spirit. So we move up to the mid. Actually, that's Exiled. What am I doing? I'm going up to the top. It's going to be Third playing the Clockwork, as he's going to be the stand-in there. And on our Dire side, we've got Boreal Esports. They're moving as 5, making their way all the way down into the Radiant jungle. There is a couple heroes down here already, so I don't want to miss out on any action here before I introduce the players. And it looks like the two teams are going to spot each other, and UTD Savants are going to get out of there in time. PQ is going to be playing the Earthshaker for Boreal, and he just wasn't able to get close enough to lay the fissure down and stun them up, stopping them from retreating. Jeppin's going to be playing the Darkseer. We've got the guy with the flower symbol, which last time was Chaotic Raptor, but this time it's Riser, I believe. So I'm going to call him Riser, and if I'm wrong on that, I apologize, but I believe that to be Riser. KVH is going to be playing the Shadow Fiend. There's Chaotic Raptor. He's going to be playing the Lina, and I believe that's everyone covered. PQ, I already covered on the Earthshaker. Jeppin's on the Darkseer, and
the battle begins.
Yeah, that should be everyone. We've got KVH sporting the new Immortal Arms on the Shadow Fiend, and it was a gift from, well, it looks like Riser. Dedication for the Professional 7 SF player. There you go. So we get to see the new Shadow Fiend Immortals. We're going to bring up our last hits here and see exactly what kind of lanes we get to start everything off. Mid lane, just as we expected. Dragon Knight up against the Shadow Fiend. Top lane, off lane Clockwork going up against a tri-lane. So it's going to be Lina, Witch Doctor, and Earthshaker. So surprisingly that they didn't go aggro with this. Bottom lane, it's going to be the Darkseer going up against the Razor, and he doesn't really have too much damage now as he got sapped away by Sneaks. But the Vengeful Spirit's also going to be down here. And of course,
Radiant's
Chen
bottom
making his
tower
way
is
through the
under
jungle,
attack.
doing a little bit of farming up there. He was even lucky enough to get a Wild Wing Ripper to start everything off. And he's going to actually use it to throw a Cyclone down in the mid lane to force KVH back and to help Bacon start off early on in this lane. But while he's doing that, of course, Exile will be moving around trying to get as much stacks as he can. But we've got a Sentry Ward here already blocking off his big camp. And there's also a little bit of dewarding that's been done by him as well. So he does have access to the other large camp. And expect him to be stacking those up. And then hopefully he'll get another Wild Wing Ripper and able to use a Tornado to tear through one of those stacks. Sneaks once again, getting another drain off onto Jeppins, who's juking down there for seconds as he's trying to dodge Gods with the magic missile, but he will get stunned up, and it looks like this is going to be our first blood as Jeppins quickly running out of space. He's going to try to hide in here. He's going to eat one tree, but eventually he is going to go down. Sneaks getting the first blood for the UTD Savants.
And the atmosphere's electric.
Now Exile doing a little bit of stacking, like I said, stacking 2 camps at once. As we take a look back at the mid lane, Bacon is leading the way right now, 12-2 CS. We got KVH pretty close behind, 11-3. So mid pretty even, despite the fact that Chen was throwing down the Tornado from the Wild Wing Ripper. Third, getting Fissure blocked off by PQ. And look at PQ here. Getting in front, doing a little bit of body blocking. Yeah, he had the luxury of having a haste, but still allowing them to get a little bit of extra damage in on this Clockwork, who is level 2, but only has his point into the cogs. So he hasn't put that second skill point in, and a nice fissure from PQ, just laying it down there, allowing KVH to rotate over as Boreal Esports get a kill there and get on the board. Well, Jeppins has returned down to the bottom lane, trying to force this Vengeful Spirit back, but he is casting a lot of Ion Shells on himself. And unfortunately, if he's doing that, he's not able to cast them on the creep wave, but he'll just come back off on cooldown here, and hopefully he'll be able to get a good amount of XP here. Level 3, pretty important. He's already hit that. Level 4 is also quite powerful against the Vengeful Spirits, but not the big one. The big one's level 5. And either way, he should be able to... he's a little low on his mana regen right now, but he should be able to double stack Ion Shells on the creep wave if he needs to really bring the creep wave back towards his tower. And we'll look and see if he's going to have to do that. Third, trying to disrupt this pull through coming out from Riser, and he looks like he's done it enough to just get the range creep, and now we're going to have a Sentry Ward getting placed down, but Third knew exactly that was going to happen as he's going to open up here onto the Witch Doctor, and it is going to be a kill for the offlaner, despite the fact that Chaotic Raptor's casting over top of the trees to help him out. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, KVH went down, as it looks like Exiled made a rotation in to help Bacon his beast, who actually got the kill there. It was actually Exiled who got the kill on the Chen. So things looking pretty good so far for the UTD Savants, as they're sitting at 3-1 right now. Farm, not really going their way. It's just slightly in favor of Boreal so far, but of course there is going to be a little bit of a... I mean, you look at it, Chen's going to be getting farm, but at the same time the Clockwork isn't getting any farm at all, but Clockwork doesn't need that farm. Clockwork doesn't need the level of farm that a Darkseer needs. But of course, Chen needs that level of farm that most other supports don't need, so it's a little bit of a trade-off there, and when you look at the last hit, you have to say advantage slightly going in favor of Boreal Esports, but you got to keep in mind there is 2 extra kills on the board
bottom tower
for
is under
UTD
attack.
Savants. As we see KVH bullying Bacon a little bit, but Bacon's just going to walk up and stun because he knew Exiled was rotating in behind, as we're going to see KVH drop one more time. And maybe KVH playing a little bit aggressive in this mid lane. And getting punished for it twice. Exiled making some really good rotations so far.
Dire's middle tower is under
There
attack.
is an Observer Ward here from Boreal Esports that does spot those rotations, but doesn't spot when you're walking through with smoke. So Exiled taking advantage of that, getting that smoke gank off onto KVH. KVH plays a lot of Shadow Fiend. There's a reason why that was gifted. The Immortal was gifted to him, as it's his big hero, and they found a way to kill him twice, so stop him from starting that snowball on the Shadow Fiend. Gods has positioned himself in a pretty good spot here, in behind Jeppins. And Jeppins has the Ion Shells trying to bully Sneaks, but that's because PQ's here. And PQ lays down the fissure. It does block off Sneaks, but it puts Jeppins on the other side, as we're going to get a little bit of a separated fight here. But the stun will disengage the Vengeful Spirit, but now the drain's coming off from Sneaks, but that's not what's doing the damage. It's the Ion Shells. We're going to see Sneaks take a fall. PQ, will he be able to stop this Vengeful Spirit? No, not able to get enough mana for that fissure, but he's still diving. He's diving past the tower. The Ion Shell's doing work for him, but they think the tower's going to finish him off first. As right as he gets mana to fissure, he's going to go down, and that's a little bit of a disaster. A little bit of a ballsy play there from PQ, but not really panning out for him. Now Bacon. He's in Viz. He's looking for KVH. He's going to the normal camp, but now he sees that he's down there, so he's doing... Did he not see him? He's pinging here. Well, he definitely knows now. Will he be able to actually open up onto the Shadow Fiend? I think Shadow Fiend has way too much HP to bring him down. Third is close, but not close enough to help out. He doesn't have 6 for the hook shot. We had TP in from PQ on his respawn, and Bacon will go down. That was a little bit of a forced play there coming out from Bacon, and... well, we saw the results of it. Boreal sensing that there was maybe a little bit of a mistake there and punishing.
Homing in.
Maybe if Third was level 6, that would have been fine, but without Third able to really close that gap, it just wasn't really going to work out for them. But on the back of that, they forced all those heroes up to the top lane. They are going to get a little bit of a push here in the mid-tier 1. But Exiled and Third will have to back away. Exile getting blocked a little bit by the creeps. And PQ was considering Fissure, but he canceled a few times and then didn't end up letting it fly. Bacon then TP's back to rejoin. While all this is going on, Chaotic Raptor farming up in the top lane on the Lina has done quite well for himself. 42 and 15 is his CS right now. The only one beating him right now is KVH at 48 and 9. Then we go all the way down to the Chen at 28 and 0. So those top 2 farmers are way out in front of everyone else. The safe lane Razor just sitting at 27 and 11. And then the mid Dragon Knight at 26 and 5. Even the off lane Darkseer has just as much CS as the Raptor, or as the Razor. Now Jeppins will find a kill onto Exiled, but I think he's been trapped by this fissure, and he will just barely be able to get alive. I thought he was going to die by the lightning coming back in, but it's not him that's going to go down. It's KVH, and the flare comes flying in, but just off the mark. Third. So close, so close to getting a kill on Jeppins there, but not able to find it. Gods will find a stun onto PQ, but Sneaks is a little far, and PQ doesn't really have mana to retaliate, so if they're able to get on top of him, they might have been able to get a kill, but they were just a little bit too far away.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Chaotic Raptor still pushing this top lane. He's already got level 8, so he's got a lot of burst damage coming out from that Lina. The big one, of course, being 6 to get that Laguna, but we haven't seen it used just yet.
Is under attack.
KVH, he's already got his buckler, but looks like mech is going to be his first item of choice. Riser. No idea what he's going just yet. Just your typical support items. And interesting, we've got Darkseer also building a mech, so maybe a little bit of miscommunication there between KVH and Jeppins, as both of them appear to be going for a mech, as we've got the buckler up on the Shadow Fiend, and then the Darkseer's got the headdress and the makings of a buckler as well. But this pause that actually came out from a DC of Sneaks may actually work out for Boreal, because I think they may actually realize this as they jump around and look at each other's items during the pause, and maybe they'll be able to correct it and kind of bail out of it. The tough thing is the mech is a really important item for Darkseer. It really helps him get tanky, but at the same time it's so important for the Shadow Fiend as well. So it's like, which one of them actually stops getting it? Or maybe is it okay if both get the mech? That could be a possibility too. Of course, you can't double mech someone, as that's kind of disallowed in the Dota 2 client. You can't be affected by mech. This says it lasts 25 seconds on hero, but I believe you can't get meched within 40 seconds of the previous mech. I could be wrong on that, and maybe it got changed to 25 seconds. But I believe it's 40 seconds before you can get healed. It's just the armor bonus lasts for 25. But I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, let me know in chat. But we've also almost got the mech finished for our Radiant side. Is what's flying out on the courier? It's just a bottle getting crowed right now. So we've got Exiled almost finishing the mech. So UTD Savants will have their mech up a little bit sooner than Boreal Esports will. But that's to be expected when there's a Chen on the field. Bacon, not really too much. He upgraded his stick. He's got his treads, but still sitting on 765 gold. So we don't know what his next big ticket item is. Looks like third's going to be going for a blade mail. Chaotic Raptor, just a Sage's Mask. 800 gold, so I'm guessing Yule Scepter is going to be on the way for him. Just sentries on the courier. And we've also got a set of sentries on PQ, who's TPing down to the bottom lane. But he's sitting on 200 gold, so we got a little ways before we're going to see a Blink Dagger coming out on him. But I believe that should cover the vast majority of our heroes. We got an urn coming out for gods. I believe that's everyone. I didn't cover Sneaks actually, as he's DC'd. So he's kind of camouflaged on the map. But Sneaks has picked up his Ring of Aquila. He's also got a bottle and just brown boots, but sitting on 974 gold. So may look to upgrade his boots as he looks like, well, with the DC, he's kind of heading back to Fountain. And with his HP and his mana, he may actually walk all the way back and then TP back to lane. Some pings coming out, as obviously the team is using this time while Sneaks is just kind of restarting his modem to use it to strategize a little bit here. If you guys are new to the cast, first of all, welcome. I'm Niz, and also welcome to watching some of the Saturday Dota League. As well, we had a couple weeks of. Well, we had 3 weeks, I should say, of regular season play where the teams played each other in 2 different groups. And Boreal Esports came out first in their group. UTD Savants ended up coming out second of their group. And now we've moved into the playoffs. The playoffs actually started today. And we're going to have 4 weeks of playoffs. And we've got, this is obviously a winner's bracket match. The top 2 from each group ended up in the winner's bracket. The bottom 2 ended up in the loser's bracket. So we're going to be playing a best of 3 the entire way through the playoffs as well. So even if one of these teams may, well, I guess one of these teams will eventually lose in this series and drop down to the loser's bracket, we will still have another best of 3 with them. So we're not saying goodbye to any of these teams just yet. But that's obviously thinking down the road a little bit. There also is an in-game ticket for the Saturday Dota League, which is actually completely free. So that's really awesome that you can just kind of go in and watch through Dota TV if you care to, or you can go back and watch the replays, download the replays, take a look at stuff maybe from a player's perspective or whatever. But those are all completely available to you. So you just go under North America, Amateur, and Saturday Dota League should be in there. You should be able to find it nice and easy. Any other information you want to find out about the tournament, SaturdayDotaLeague.com. And look at that, we're already ready to go. So we're going to get a resume right here.
Radiant's top
as we
tower
try
is
to
under attack.
find ourselves back in the game. PQ, of course, was just TPing to the bottom lane. Looks like we also have a rotation from Risers. He's making his way down here on the Witch Doctor. So Jeppin's going to be aggressively pushing the bottom lane, expecting some kind of response from
tower is under attack.
UTD. But it hasn't happened just yet, and in fact, we are going to get 2 TPs up to the top lane. It's going to be Gods and Third that are going to make their way up here. So still no response in the bottom lane, maybe sensing that there's more heroes behind Jeppins.
Dire's middle tower is
We
under
have
attack.
had Riser rotate away,
Dire's
as
structures
his
are
mid-tier 1's
fortified.
getting pushed right now. And it looks like we might have a trade as this mid-tier 1's going down, and Jeppins actually is not that
Radiant's
close
bottom tower
to
is
completely
under
trading
attack.
on this bottom tier 1. Now Sneaks is also walking down. He's getting close to this bottom tier 1. Now we're going to have a TP from Bacon in behind Jeppins. PQ is still down here, but they've also got Exiled making his way down through the river. It's soon going to be a 3 versus 2, as here we go. Here's Exiled in behind. He's got the he's got the Centaur to stun him up, but they're not even going to need it. Just finish off the Darkseer with the right clicks. Exiled getting the kills there. And still, that bottom tier 1 doesn't fall, sitting on 39 HP, so it will be deniable. And expect them to deny that relatively soon. But not without first pushing as they're going to wipe out this creep wave and get some good damage on this bottom
Dire's
tier 1.
bottom tower is
And I
under
expect
attack.
Boreal to maybe go for a trade here again, as they've got KVH in the mid
Radiant's
lane.
middle tower is under attack.
Shadow Fiend, not really one of those
Dire's bottom
heroes
tower
that
is
really
under
likes to
attack.
fight early on. He
Dire's
likes to get a
structures
big
are
defensive
fortified.
item before he really likes to get involved. For a long time, it used to be a BKB. Now it's kind of that mech
Dire's
gods
bottom
getting
tower
trapped
has
by that
fallen.
fissure from PQ. But if we take a look at KVH, he's just going to get hooked by third. And he's now trapped in the cogs, and
Radiant's
unfortunately,
middle tower is
there's
under
no way
attack.
out of this. But third doesn't really have the damage to finish him off. And with those raises, oh my goodness, that
Radiant's
second
top
raise
tower
would
is
have
under
killed
attack.
third, but the Hand of God came out from Exiled, but KVH still able to get another right click off. But if we take a look at KVH, we can see his next
Radiant's
item
top
choice
tower
was
is
an
under
Ogre
attack.
Club, so it looks like he's going to be bailing out of picking up that mech and going after the BKB now. As we lose Jeppins in the bottom lane, still hasn't finished his mech. He's about 800 away from completing that, just needs the recipe.
Dire's
Bottom tier 2 will go
tower.
down, so that push
Radiant's
in
middle
the bottom
tower
lane ends
has
up
fallen.
claiming 2 towers. In the mid, we did have the mid tier 1 go down and the top tier 1 go down, so it was a 2 for 2 tower trade. But it's
Radiant's
2
top
tier
tower
1s
is
versus a
under
tier 1
attack.
and a tier 2. Frankly, I actually like the fact that Boreal got the mid tier 1, even though the other tower that they got was also a tier 1. I think this mid tier 1 is more valuable than the top tier 2, than the bottom tier 2, even though that this is one of the Roche towers. And what I mean by that is it's one of the to TP to quickly get to the Roche pit. It's one of the advantage that Dire really has, and you kind of lose that by losing that tower. But I think the mid tier 1 going down opens up a lot more possibilities with moving around the map. Well, we will have the mech finished by Exiled on the Chen. So they've now got their mech, and that puts them quite a bit ahead of Jeppins, but not really, as he's farmed up really quick on his respawn there. And they never denied this tower, so it's sitting on
Radiant's
39
bottom tower
HP,
is
and
under
Jeppins
attack.
will
Radiant's
get the
bottom
last hit.
tower has
That'll
fallen.
give him enough gold for his mech, and well, he's gonna probably have to TP up here in the top lane, because there's a fight going on. We've got 4 on 4, and it's actually 5 on 4 as UTD Savants. They've got 5 up here, but they're the first one to lose a hero, as they lose Bacon as Beast, and now the other 4 of them think, well, maybe we shouldn't be up here, guys, as they start backing away.
Radiant's
But there's
bottom
going to be an
tower is
observer
under
ward
attack.
placed, and it's placed right next to a sentry ward, and now we've got the stuns coming out. Sneaks is going to go down, but we've got an engage from third. He's going to trap both KVH and Chaotic Raptor in the cogs, but will he be able to finish off KVH? No, he won't. Oh my goodness, such low HP. Meanwhile, PQ lays it down the Echo Slam, the Slamma-Jammas, and that's going to allow them to finish off Gods with the fissure, and KVH hiding in the trees, and oh my goodness, the Requiem was almost enough to finish off Exiled, but Exiled just able to get that auto attack off before he died. So it will be a trade, the Chen for the Shadow Fiend, and obviously that's going to be advantage UTD Savants. But good play there from KVH to make the most of a bad situation, as it was pretty clear that he was going to go down, but he managed to make sure that they got the kill on that Chen as well. Well, we'll switch on over to our net worth and see who the leader is, and no surprise, it's Chaotic Offering, or Chaotic Raptor. I always do that. I don't know why I always do that with his name, but no surprise, as he was farming up in the top lane for a long time. He's getting close to breaking 100 CS. On top of that, he's 3-0-3 right now. He's got 1850 gold already. His Yule's finished. He's sitting at 7,200 net worth. Then next is KVH, not that far behind, just at a 7,000 net worth as well. As well, we saw him kind of squabble a little bit with his item choice, the buckler, now into what looks like a BKB.
Radiant's bottom
Jeppins,
tower
of course,
is under
has
attack.
picked up his mech, as he's going to be the third on the team at 5,300, but third overall in the game is actually going to be Bacon on the Dragon Knight, as he's going to be top for UTD Savant, as he's picked up a Shadow Blade, and he may have to use it here to escape, as he's going to get
Radiant's
fissure
bottom
blocked by
tower is
PQ,
under
but I think he
attack.
can fit through there. Yeah, he can. And Sentry's going to get blocked, so they are going to see this re-engage, but Sneaks is walking in anyway, so they know. Bacon going to pop the Dragon Form, giving him the range on the stun, but it's not enough for him to get the extra auto attack off to finish off PQ, and that's going to allow PQ to lay down a fissure. Fortunately, that doesn't help keep KVH alive. But KVH is able to throw out a raise, and then of course the death Requiem goes off as well. But things looking alright so far for UTD Savants. They're getting good pickoffs. And oh, Boreal's coming up here. They've got 3 heroes, but there is 4 heroes. In fact, there's 5 as Third's coming in as well. The bottom half of the screen. So it's a 5v3, 5v4 as Chaotic is going to rejoin. But Third, hook shots in, traps PQ in the cause. Now Chaotic Raptor gets the lightning strike array off. And oh my god, beautiful vacuum coming out from Jeppins. But Sneaks has very little HP, but he's doing so much damage from the side. But Chaotic Raptor comes from the side and flanks him. So we do lose Jeppins and we lose Sneaks, and now Gods is going to get trapped in that Yule Scepter, tossed up in the air, then stunned as soon as he lands, and Chaotic Raptor going to find another kill. That's 3 kills on the fight for him. As just as I said, things were looking good for UTD Savants. Boreal Esports comes back, and well, they looked pretty good in that fight. They did lose their top tier 1 tower, so UTD Savants did get what they came for, but obviously Boreal punishing them a little bit for it. What was the actual kills total? I think it was 3 for 3. Maybe if you count KVH, then it's a 3 for 4. But overall, it was 3 for 3, so it wasn't the worst trade in the world for UTD Savants. Speaking of Sneaks, looks like he's going to be going for an Aghanim Scepter. He's about 1,500 gold away from completing that. Bacon, BKB is going to be his next choice. Third has finished the Blade Mail. Exiled, well, we don't know. He's got Mana Boots, but he's got under 1,200. Now Jeppins and Rise are on the hunt. Jeppins will find Exiled, but he sees Third as well. He's going to vacuum them back, but unfortunately Riser's a little bit too far. Maybe if you had really followed Jeppins, you would have been able to get the cask off and stun them up, but they're going to be satisfied with just getting the kill here on the Centaur. PQ up to 500 gold, so making progress towards that Blink Dagger. KVH has finished the BKB, and look, he's actually sold his buckler, realizing that, well, don't really need that. He needs the heal from the mech more so than the armor from the buckler portion of it.
Radiant's bottom tower
So he sells
is
it to
under
make a little
attack.
bit faster item progression, and he may have actually sold that to complete his BKB. Not exactly sure the timing of when he bought his BKB.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Excel's positioned himself in an interesting spot, but it's also positioned him in a spot where he can come and wrap around on Chaotic Raptor. We do have TP support coming in from Jeppins and PQ on Boreal Esports, but Chaotic Raptor looks like he's going to be fine. Instead, they're going to look to turn this around, but he mistimes the Yule's stun combo from the Lina, but PQ is there to cover him with the fissure. And then on top of that, slaps the ground with his totem. The enchant totem will stun him up and allow them to finish off Third. Chaotic Raptor even getting that kill. How many kills is he up to now? 8, 0, and 3 right now. So hasn't fallen just yet in this game. And now, oh, this is scary. KVH just running at you on the Swagger Fiend. PQ, Jeppins, and Chaotic Raptor a little bit below. Riser trailing in behind. The fissure will hit Gods, but he's kind of trapped in the trees right now, but they know exactly where he is, so they just use all those AoE abilities to bring him down. And now they're going to try to chase after Bacon, and Bacon tried to TP away, but he just gets caught by the Yules, and there's no way he's getting out of there. Lagoon is going to get used. Chaotic Raptor is godlike. As my goodness, this Lina, the safe lane farming Lina, is starting to run away with this game, but it's not just him, you know. KVH, they brought him down twice early on, and so far he's recovered quite well. He's become a hero that they have to deal with.
Top tower is under
And
attack.
we've had some good stunts, some good fissures coming out from PQ at all the right times. Jeppins, he's played well, but he's kind of overextended a few times. Riser, he's been there, but we haven't really seen the full effect of this Witch Doctor just yet. Meanwhile, we take a look at UTD Savants. We saw some good rotations from Exiled early on. Third has got some really good cogs down, but there really hasn't been enough follow-up. Bacon's been punished a few times for maybe overextending, getting a little too overzealous with his play. Sneaks really hasn't gotten involved in this game just yet. He's sitting at 2, 3, and 7, so he's been a part of 9 of 13 kills, but it doesn't feel like he's really had that huge impact on the game just yet. He does just finish his Aghanim Scepter, so maybe that's his timing there. But they are going to lose gods to start this off. This is probably going to signal UTD Savants just to back away, sack the tier 2 tower. But Sneaks has already TP'd back, so I don't know, I think they still have to just sack it. But Exiled in behind will snipe the courier, but now he's in a little bit of trouble. He's going to try to run away, but it's not going to happen. I think Exiled and Ralph the Alpha Wolf are going to go down here. But Third's going to try to help out. He hook shots in, places the cogs, but to push them back, not to trap. And now he's going to run away. Chaotic Raptor actually will miss another LSA, but it's not going to matter. PQ's actually going to get the kill with the fissure. So I'm not too sure about that play from Third. It was pretty clear that Exiled was going to go down. It was clear that they wanted to kind of pick off a straggler, but just weren't able to do so. Boreal was playing pretty close, pretty tight together there. And as a result, I think as soon as Third hook shot in, he realized it was a bad situation and tried to back away. Bacon in the Shadow Blade kind of lurking, but now he'll get stunned up by the cast because it's going to bounce down to gods. But Boreal Esports looks like they're just going to back away. They did have a Bloodstone just picked up by Chaotic Raptor. He's got a Bloodstone, a Yule Scepter, and a Force Staff now on this Lina as he's continuing to become an issue. And I imagine next item probably going to be an Aghanim Scepter for him, as that'll pierce through any BKBs. We've got a BKB somewhat on the way for Bacon. So it's not really going to help him when it comes out, but I mean, I guess it will. It stops the Yules with the easy stun setup. But the Laguna allows them to deal a lot of damage to this Dragon Knight. The big one, though, is the Razor. Will they be able to bring down the Razor? He doesn't have a BKB anywhere near in sight. He only just finished his Aghanims. So maybe you don't even go the Aghanims yet on the Lina. You've got a little bit of time before BKBs are really an issue. It does do a little bit more than that, but just to pierce through the BKB. But surprisingly, Jeppin's actually upgrading to the Guardian Greaves early on in the game. You typically see that a little bit later of an item pickup, as it is pretty expensive. I believe it's 1,600 gold for that recipe. It's a lot of gold for what it provides, considering you get the majority of the effect that it provides through the mech and the arcane boots. It really just gives you that extra item slot, which frankly he doesn't need right now. He's got a sentry, he's got a stout shield, still has a TP, so he's got a lot of space. You have to think 1,600 gold for that recipe. I should actually make sure that it is 1,600 gold before I keep saying it. 1,650. Close enough. Got to give me that one. But you think 1,650 gold versus 2,250 for a Blink Dagger. I don't know, I feel like maybe the Blink Dagger could be a little bit more beneficial, but they've got the Blink Dagger up on PQ. He's going to use this to jump on Exile, but Exile's just going to run away. But now KVH blinks in, as he's going to be chasing. Jeppins was also coming in, but he got stunned up by the Vengeful Spirit, who just ran away, and we're going to see Exile go down once again. But Chaotic Raptor, he's trying to get a whole bunch done with Jeppins here, and Third and Gods are both up here on the high ground, as it looks like he's going to get both of them, as Chaotic Raptor does indeed bring down both. Riser was there to help out, but he's still sporting a donut. 0 kills for the Witch Doctor, but he has been a part of 9. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but still that donut on the scoreboard. The big 0, the only one in the game. I guess there's a donut for Chaotic Raptor, but that's his death, so it doesn't really count.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
With those pickoffs, the mid tier 2 is going to go down.
Radiant's middle
Boreal
tower has fallen.
Look to deal some damage to this tier 3, but they're also going to look to
TP
TP back and bring down Bacon. They're going to fissure him, they're going to drop a sentry, and they're going to use smoke. And Bacon's going to try to turn around, but PQ, look at that, using the Echo Slam, stunning up the Dragon Knight. They still had the disable with the vacuum on the Darkseer, so they will be able to cancel that TP and eventually bring down the Dragon Knight. Just overall good play. Boreal not giving them any space whatsoever. While that was going on, the other 3 bring down this mid-tier 3 tower, so now the racks are vulnerable. But they won't push them just yet, as they're going to back away, play this smart, play this safe. As we'll quickly try to, we'll bring up actually we'll look at our gold graph first. So we see 14,000 gold in favor of Boreal. Nothing too surprising there. It's pretty clear Boreal is pretty far ahead in this game so far. XP getting close to 20k also in favor of Boreal. But I want to look at their items because I know there's definitely going to be some items that I've probably missed so far. Sneaks looks like he's going to be going after BKB as predicted for his next item. Bacon still hasn't picked up his. He's got the recipe but still needs that mithril hammer. Third has picked up a staff of wizardry. So 4 staff probably going to be on the way for him, but still a little ways out. Gods has gone for a medallion and also an urn. And Belt of Strength with Boots of Speed, probably going to go for Treads. Could, of course, be it could be Basher, but it's not going to be that. It could be a Necro Book, but most likely just going to be Treads for the Vengeful Spirit. Give her a little bit more HP to try and keep her alive in the fight. Roche going to go down. Who got the Aegis? It is going to be the Lina getting the Aegis, and that's pretty important because you take a look at the net worth, you see how high that net worth is right now. 16,100 net worth on the Lina. On top of that, 12,015. That's a big streak right now on Chaotic Raptor. You don't want this hero going down because it's going to give a lot of gold to the other team. So that Aegis is going to be huge for them. You know, you could say, well, KVH, he's going to want to blink in there. He's going to get more involved in the fight. He's probably more at risk of dying, but the amount of gold swing that would happen with Chaotic Raptor going down is frankly more important. As we see Exiled getting picked off. There was a kill up here in the top lane. Sneaks managed to bring down Jeppins. Looks like he had help from friends, but now Chaotic Raptor and Ryze are just running all over this Radiant base, bringing down Gods. And Sneaks, ooh, almost catches Chaotic Raptor as he was running away there. Almost expelled that Aegis. But with those two heroes down and Boreal just missing one, they are going to try to push up onto the high ground. They will bring down Bacon. And now Sneaks getting a drain off onto KVH. He's still on 112 damage, so he'd hit hard if he could only stand there and actually attack. But they're always on the run. They're going to lose third. We're going to have a buyback from Bacon. It's just going to be Sneaks and Bacon left to defend, but we have Exiled respawning. Gods will also be respawning right now. So it is going to be 4-on-4 Dota. Chaotic Raptor is pretty low, but keep in mind, he does have that Aegis. And will he go down here? He will, but PQ going to jump in, lays down the Echo, the Fissure, the Enchanted Totem. They're all stunned up. Sneaks, meanwhile, goes down to KVH's right clicks. Gods will swap KVH to try to escape, but it's not going to happen. We will have a buyback from Sneaks, but not before Exile drops the good game well played in chat. So Boreal Esports will take game 1 of this best of 3. And wow, they played well. They definitely played well. That was some good Dota. That was some really good Dota. We had UTD Savants, frankly, playing all right. They did make some key mistakes, and Boreal Esports were right there to punish them as soon as they did. And that was really the big deciding factor. Once Boreal Esports capitalized on a few of those mistakes, they just kind of kept the ball rolling. And then it just becomes easier and easier for them. They've got the item advantage, they've got the level advantage, so playing around those small mistakes that UTD Savant were making, it just becomes easier and easier because you've got this greater window to punish those mistakes. Not to say Boreal Esports, they didn't make mistakes of their own, but UTD Savants just weren't quite there to capitalize on them all the time. And they'll look to just clean up their play a little bit. It went really good early on. Exiled had those 2 great ganks on mid, so they dropped KVH twice early on. It didn't really feel like Bacon was able to hit the ground running with that space that was created for him. Third had a little bit of a tough time in the off lane. And then Sneaks with that DC and frankly, with just the Vengeful Spirit in that lane, they kind of struggled to get the farm on the Razor that they really wanted. Jeppins got a lot more CS than I think they were anticipating, and it also punished the Razor quite a bit. But that's going to wrap it up for this game. I don't want to miss the next one, as we've got Game 2 coming up in just a second. Hopefully you will stick with us for that, as we're going to see if UTD Savants are going to be able to get one back here on Boreal Esports, or maybe Boreal will take the game and win the series and move on to the next round of the winner's bracket. But that's going to be it for this game. Once again, I'm Miz. Hit those follow buttons and make sure you stick around for Game 2.